tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello, AfterBuzzers, and welcome back to the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills after show here on AfterBuzz TV. You may remember us. The panel is back from last season. I'm your host, Grant Rutter, and alongside me tonight...
Hi, guys. It's Megan Stecher. Fern Ronay here.
And Christy Olsen will join the panel in future episodes. She is out of the studio for the evening, but we are here to discuss the premiere episode of Life's a Pitch. And we're going to start with our first impressions. What do we think?
Go ahead, Fern.
Underwhelming. I don't know.
Yeah.
Nothing happened. We were kind of all looking at each other like, oh, come on.
You know, it reminded...
Move it along.
I agree. It reminded me a little bit of a lost footage episode where it kind of jumps around. You know, they show a party that nothing really happened at. That's how I feel about the lost footage. It's cool to see, but it doesn't really drive story.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to say I disagree with both of you.
Really?
I'm not giving it an A or anything, but I enjoy the reintroduction to everyone we're getting. I didn't feel like it was so all over the place. Sometimes I feel like a first episode is a little too all over the place for me. I'm not connecting with anybody. I like that it seemed to me there was a focus on other people rather than just Kyle and Lisa Vanderpump. Mm-hmm. That it seemed like it was spread around better for me. If we could stay away from focusing on the two of them so much, I think I'd be a happier girl when it comes to my Beverly Hills wives.
Right. I kind of feel like in a way that we've got a lot out of over the years just watching Kyle and Lisa. I feel like we know what to expect with them, and they're covered. I feel like we kind of know what to expect with them overall. And even Eileen, she's still kind of new to me because I feel like we didn't see much of her last season. So I'm intrigued more by the newer Housewives, and I just wanted to see a little bit more newness going on.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So
okay.
I'm giving it a B plus.
Oh, that's good.
So.
I'm giving it a C.
Ooh.
Okay, I guess if you gave it a B plus, I guess I have to give it an A minus. A minus.
Yeah. I'm just glad to have them back and back into the rotation of watching the Housewives, and so that's kind of I'm giving it little biased points over there. So, well, let's take a look at a little bit of an update as we are revisiting the lives of these wives. Lisa Vanderpump, she's headed over to have to throw an opening pitch at the Dodgers game, which I think we've kind of seen this. I feel like not necessarily at Housewives, but I feel like, all right, it's something really new.
I couldn't recall it happening anywhere else, but I just was so underwhelmed with that storyline. I couldn't believe that that's what they were showing from her life and that they took so much time out for it.
It was so lost footagey.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because it doesn't drive anything. It's not that interesting to me. I don't know. It just didn't appeal to me, really. But I don't know. Maybe, and I want to know how you guys feel, but I think maybe living in LA and especially in the West Hollywood area, I feel like with her, she's a little too oversaturated for me. I don't find it as novel and as interesting to be able to see her in these positions. I'm kind of she's just kind of everywhere. I feel like Lisa's just kind of everywhere. So to me, it's okay, do what you gotta do, but it's just not very exciting for me.
Right. I found the only part of it exciting where she whipped her shirt off and changed in the hallway.
Oh my God, I
couldn't
believe she did that.
I was surprised, yes.
Me too. It doesn't seem like her, but...
No,
not at all. On camera, whatever. But she still makes me laugh. When he came over to teach her to, pitch, and she was telling Ken to get out of here. She's funny. She makes me laugh. I'm a Lisa fan, but yeah, there was nothing there.
Yeah. Well, what else? We learned that she has no relationship with Brandi, and she's kind of off with Yolanda. They're kind of on off terms, kind of. They're not in a circle anymore. I mean, are we relieved to see Brandi away? How do we feel about this departure? We haven't really discussed this here.
I'm very relieved, which I feel like you are too, because you get so mad when they shoot in the valley, and Brandi is just the epitome of the valley to me. I'm looking forward to it being about highbrow housewife wine throwing drama rather than Brandi wine throwing drama. Like, I think with minimal Kim and no Brandi, it might get back to a place where we all originally loved our Beverly Hills girls.
That's a good point.
Like, you're thinking like season 1 Beverly Hills with the fighting in the mansions and the big birthday parties and
the cigarettes and like who's too cool for school and somebody has a terrible secret about somebody else. Like, not all this alcoholism drama. As much as I love what Kim adds to the show, I really need a breather from all that tackiness.
When they did the flashback to Brandi, I was like, she was just too much last season.
Well, I loved how they talked about her like it was her funeral. Yeah. Like every character got to say their parting words about Brandi.
But we saw in the preview she'll be back, but it'll be brief.
See, I don't see a place for her on the show right now, especially the way that this episode was kind of put together. But, I mean, I don't hate her. I'd be okay if she was still around, but it wouldn't make sense anymore to have her on. I don't think right now. Just with people being on the outside, I mean, none of those women really are Team Brandi. Who would film with her? Beyond Yolanda. But Yolanda's being selective of who she films with at all. Or at all. So, yeah, and we'll comment later about Lisa and Ken's reaction to Yolanda at Lisa Rinna's birthday party. Now, speaking of Lisa Rinna, she's opening up the season with recording her Oprah, Where Are They Now, or something like that. Yeah.
I thought that was nice for her.
Yes, it was nice for her. She's so positive. She's like, this must mean I am somebody. Like, I always think of Where Are They Now as like, has-beens, but she's like, it means I'm somebody, or she said something like that. She's so positive.
I loved when she was reflecting on her career and finding steady work in the industry, and then kind of reflecting that over on Eileen, who's had a very steady soap career. I like caring about like the business side of the women. It's a good part of like the culture of Beverly Hills, and
I love seeing Eileen's dressing room, and like I want them to do an episode where they spend more time with Eileen and what her day-to-day life is like her dressing room and how if someone brings her clothes and she goes over her lines. I love that.
Yeah, like a real behind-the-scenes look. Yeah.
I kind of look at the two soap girls. To me, the Beverly Hills Housewives are our husbands are so wealthy we don't have to work. Like, my life is socialization. But with Eileen and Lisa, looking at their lives and careers through their own eyes, they see themselves as like really hardworking people, and they've had to have this career. And like, sure, my house looks beautiful to everyone, and I have a nice handbag, but like, I really worked my ass off for this. So it's interesting to me to see it that way. They almost don't fit the Beverly Hills mold to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
but it is still Hollywood. But yeah, they have worked for it.
It's more of a Hollywood.
Right. Yeah, like even Eileen was like, I have no plans to quit acting. Like, I'm just going to keep doing it. And that's how a lot of actors are. They don't retire. I mean, especially in soap world, if they're going to keep giving you a contract, but where, like you said, like the other people out there, their life is socialization. They, the idea of working into a later age for those people, like, it's foreign. Like, Lisa's, I guess she can manage her restaurants. I guess it wouldn't be too strenuous.
And Kyle will manage her store.
Yeah, but I mean, that's like a totally different type of work than,
than busting your ass every day.
Yeah, doing one take and all of that. Yeah, so I agree with you. Eileen is cleaning out our house, and Megan, you wanted to comment on this.
Oh, I said, oh my God, it's because of the comments last year. I think what probably got to her was everyone in the world agreed with Brandi. She probably got so much social media and internet, I don't want to say backlash, but people who were like, yeah, your house is gross, it's outdated, or whatever, that made her say, like, maybe we do really need to refresh some things around here. And maybe her husband chimed in, like, I've always hated the way this place was decorated. Like, I don't know. Yeah. But something made her want to rip those curtains down, and I'm glad she did. I hope that the renovation continues, I should say.
Yeah, I feel like that probably would be her biggest criticism, because she didn't really, wasn't very polarizing in many other aspects, and that house was something to have an opinion about, whether you're into that or not. I mean, so I think that house has like a lot of potential to be, very like minimal and just open and bright.
From the outside, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Beautiful exterior.
Yeah.
So maybe go with the style of the exterior inside and just less pattern, more light.
But it's always interesting to see the housewives when they come back for the second season. They usually have a stylist, their hair is different, things change, a new nose appears. You know what I mean? Like,
yes, of course.
So now this is her shedding her season 1 persona.
Well, I also wanted to mention, I feel like sometimes renovations and marital problems go hand in hand, and I know that we've seen from the promos, it seems like marital problems are going to be her. I can't really tell, but it looks like fighting with her husband is maybe her storyline this year. So maybe the renovations are saying something about that.
Right. We learned that her father-in-law passed,
and
sad. Kyle commented about that and how she, he was a well-liked man. And so that's kind of the latest with her. And then Kyle, she opens up, and I'm sure if Christy was here, she'd have a comment about the $75,000 sunglasses she was wearing.
I sure did.
Well, what is it?
It's like so has been. Like, how many times have we did like our little storybook theater reenactments? The 25 weren't they 25,000?
25,000, yes.
Like, it's the same franchise, and so we're gonna whip out a pair of more expensive sunglasses that no one would ever buy.
And
like,
then Lisa
come on.
had to show off her expensive pair.
I just thought it was so has been.
Yeah. I mean,
You can't base the show around $75,000 sunglasses.
No.
We're all being like so quiet, like, yeah.
Well, I'm just not really interested in Kyle's store, because for the most part, we saw the opening of the store. We saw a few scenes take place there. We saw Kyle look at clothes and want to buy them in her own store. But I mean, it's beyond that. I'm like, it just doesn't really. It's not like Villa Blanca or Sir, where we see a lot more going on there. It's just kind of like a backdrop.
Can we just have a discussion about the fashion on this show and like the Beverly Hills in general? You would think, not being from here, you would think like, oh, Beverly Hills. And like 80s movies, I think, gets this in your head that that's the chicest of the chic. But when I see these women, I feel like they're so outdated in their fashions and what's cool for them. It's like almost very Orange County, how they were all wearing those silly shirts with the rhinestones in the cleavage the first few years. They all have to have these certain items. It's like when you're in college and high school, when you all want to wear the same things as your friend, or a certain brand is the only cool thing to wear. It's so that to me, and they all look so 90s to me. I don't get it.
I thought Lisa Rinna looked very 90s when she was at that clothing shop with her 2 daughters. I thought she looked like Rachel and Friends. Because she had like that high neck black turtleneck with like the sleeveless. That to me, I'm sorry.
But you know what? The 90s are so back, but in a certain way.
Yeah.
Not like outdated. It's got to be like Kylie Jenner 90s.
What did wait?
But for this group of women, though, can they pull off Kylie Jenner 90s?
No.
So maybe
that's
just don't.
Why it's like, don't go 2 decades fun.
Don't be shopping at Dungarees and where is it? In
Studio City. It was not on Rodeo Drive as we were led to believe.
Right.
Can I just say, for everyone listening and watching, Grant is obsessed with being, well, where is that? Well, where is that? Well, where is that?
I look up everything.
Every store and restaurant are presented on this show. He's like, where is it? And it's so funny because any name of any place can go pass right by and we don't care and we're all writing our notes. But if anywhere is in the valley, Grant has just this nose for it. He'll go, is that in the valley? And so I'll get to Googling and like, for sure, this dungaree store was in the valley when Grant thought it was.
Well, just because they show the sign Rodeo Drive, and I'm like, that doesn't look anything like Beverly Hills.
Anything that would be on Rodeo, no.
Yeah, no, the exterior, none of it. I mean, it's not like, all right, I'm a Valley snob. Yeah, I am. I'm a Valley snob. But when it came to Lisa Rinna's birthday party, I did have to look up to see where it was, and that was in Beverly Hills. That was like, prime. It was like Il Cielo, I believe, or something like that, and it looked a very nice restaurant. Of course, no matter where it is, but yeah, and I just think it's interesting to see,
I think it's interesting that they
Ronay.
tried to deceive the viewers with Rodeo
Right.
Drive, and you knew.
Yeah, I can tell. I can tell. I lived in the Valley, so for those of you who have a problem with it, I lived here for 3 years, and I moved away not too far, but I did my time, so I can comment on the Valley. Okay?
I love it.
So,
And
yes.
Dungarees look like a cute store. I'm going to say that.
All right,
I don't
good,
want
yes.
them to
Oh, yeah, we have no affiliation with them. Yeah, no.
It's cute.
Kyle talked about, I read this, I forgot about it, her deal with Warner Brothers to come up with a sitcom
Oh, yeah.
about her
I remember
life in the
reading about that.
70s. Yeah. And of course, Kathy, anyone that's listened to the show previously knows I love the Hiltons. I was glad to hear Kathy come up, but Kathy's not supporting this project, and she thinks it's going to let out too many family, not secrets, but too much information. But Kathy, it's a sitcom. I mean, relax. It's not like she's doing like an HBO special where, you're expecting grit. I mean, it's like, a sitcom.
Well, I think they'll write fictional versions of Kathy and Kim if they're included in this story at all.
Yeah.
They could knock it down to where she has one brother instead.
Right.
They do all kinds of rewrites like that.
Right.
And I guarantee Kyle will not put anything in that show that would be a secret or embarrass the two of them. And not to mention, haven't there been plenty of books written about all their little family secrets?
Oh, there's been many.
Right,
yes.
what's a
So,
sitcom
what's
gonna
left?
reveal?
Yeah.
What's left? Kim's airing her dirty laundry all over
Right.
TV for 6 seasons now. What's left to talk about?
Exactly.
I bet Kathy has a lot of skeletons in that closet. But look, honey, we've all seen the Paris tape. What's left?
Really, what's
Yeah.
left?
Beyond that,
It
who
might show
cares?
them in a good light if it's a sitcom, and I can't stand when people aren't happy for other people. This is wonderful for Kyle.
Yeah.
You're her sister. Be happy for her.
Well, Kyle's not the first woman to appear on the Beverly Hills Housewives that's going to have a show written about her and her life. If you remember, Medium, that foolish psychic.
Oh, the psychic
As she let-
with
as she let us-
Camille's
Season
party.
1.
Oh,
Remember,
oh
she
my
had-
God, she was
she had-
Medium was about
horrible.
her.
Remember, she had to let everyone know that she has a show on TV that's written about her and her life. So
Yes,
here we go
you're
again.
right.
I rewatched the episodes just for the fun of it. So I just had, because Bravo, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners, they saw that season 1 kind of behind. Did you check that out? The making, not really the making, but it was like Secrets Revealed season 1, and they showed them walking towards the camera with the green screen, and they kind of delved deeper into the comments that Camille had with Kyle in New York, and it was like, a throwback, but it was interesting. Did you see that?
Was it
no.
recent?
Yeah.
No.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, my DVR didn't tape it for
I'm
me.
so curious
yeah.
because I always remember from season 1 that they didn't have that conversation between Kyle and Camille on camera, and I was always like, it didn't happen.
Yeah, well, it turns out, and this is part of the Beverly Hills Housewives, but it turns out in season 1 that conversation was made while they were unloading bags from an SUV when they were traveling to New York, so it wasn't on camera, and then they had a whole conversation where they had this big fight, and it didn't happen on camera, so it was season 1, and they were like, how are we going to make this work? But yeah,
that
so
answers it.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe Bravo repeats a lot, so if you haven't checked that out, check it out. It's interesting if you're as into the Housewives as we are. So
Yes.
just something to recommend. Then Kyle talks a little bit about Kim with Lisa, and she comments on Kim's arrest at the Beverly Hills Hotel, and that she claims she was in complete disbelief. Usually, I feel like it's not the first time we've seen Kyle kind of dumbfounded by Kim's actions. Here we go again,
And I'm surprised that they're even talking about Kim because I thought they were going to treat it as something sacred, like she really has a problem and let's not have her on, let's not talk about her, let's not cause her any stress because she obviously can't deal with it. It's sad. I'm not, it's horrible. I'm shocked that she's going to appear too, right?
Yeah, we saw her briefly.
Not smart.
See, I think they need to address, why she's not there, a little bit, they can say she's in rehab or whatever.
Right.
But, it came up twice. I was surprised.
And yeah.
I'm thinking that because Kim does need the paycheck, which we say time after time, that they were like, okay, well, if we do still include you in the show this year as much as we can, we have to bring up everything. We have to bring up what happened last season. We have to bring up your arrest. We've got to talk about it. We can't pretend it didn't happen.
Right.
Yeah, hopefully she's getting help that she is strong enough to deal with it. Because the night she got arrested was when, right? Wasn't it the third installment of the reunion, and she couldn't deal with it, and she went to her
It was
daughters, and then
right,
she went
yeah.
out drinking.
Yeah, it was like right at the end of the.
It was
that's
that
when
night,
stuff breaks.
yeah.
It's like as soon as those reunions and those women just snap.
Yes. And her especially, she wasn't strong enough to deal with it. So hopefully now she is.
Yeah.
We hope.
Well, another cast member who we're hoping is strong enough to deal with the coming season is Yolanda, who's been suffering for 3 years since 2012. Of course, we saw a bunch of photos of her in all types of treatment all around the globe, and she's still going at it. I mean, she's a lot of comments on her looks, and a new lady was introduced, her friend Angie, Cody Simpson's mother, and I heard that this lady was supposed to join the show as a housewife, but because she couldn't get a work visa, she's a native to Australia, that they had to cut her from the show. So she's just popping in and out of scenes.
That would make sense to me because I'm like, why is she explaining how she knows this woman, who she is, why she's friends with her? Her name is Angie. Oh, I'm going to bring Angie with me to dinner. Like, it seemed like a very housewife introduction to me. And that makes perfect sense, what you said.
So that's what I get from that. And that's kind of what I've heard, too. So, I think we can roll with that and believe it. So that's interesting.
I really hated the way that they were talking about Yolanda at this lunch. I really did. Because that's just it's just starting the ball rolling on this storyline that I wish we weren't having, which is going to be Yolanda's faking her Lyme disease, which I think is so effed up, especially after watching this whole Brooks ridiculous storyline play out on OC. Like, it was so ridiculous to me, and I just feel like they're replaying that in this franchise
with someone who I think is legitimately sick.
Right, because it was so sensational. They're trying to redo it.
Right.
And with someone who's been such a sweet person to everyone, I hate it.
Yeah, I mean, what would she have to gain from lying about it? I mean, it taking years of her life and not even be able to live in her own home.
Right, exactly.
I think that perhaps, and God, we'll have this conversation like the whole season, but I think she has Lyme disease, and maybe perhaps that led to something else, or something else came her way, and whatever it isn't good. So people should be supportive of her and not so much worried about if she's wearing makeup or if she took 10 seconds to do herself up for the party. I mean,
seriously,
that was really like, I wonder if Lisa cringes when she sees those scenes, because I mean, that's just a terrible thing to say. I mean,
and didn't Lisa Vanderpump say, like, I texted her, she didn't text me back? Give her a break.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna start holding people against texts, I mean, forget it.
People gave me such a hard time last year, and still will, for not liking Lisa Vanderpump, but it's like, whether or not she's playing into what producers want her to do, she comes across as a very unsavory character a lot. Like, really? You are the person to kick the ball rolling on. Let's doubt that Yolanda is sick. You're saying, can't you put on any makeup before you come out of your house? Like,
I hope she's cringing watching it,
Yeah. And then Ken made a big deal about how he, told her that she looked good, but she really looked awful, and she looked terrible, and he never saw her look worse, but he told her, it's like, I mean,
because he's a man, she should appreciate,
And he's sure that anybody who sees her now isn't telling her she looks good. Like, come on.
Right. And then they had that weird flashback where Lisa tried to justify why she's not friendly with Yolanda, because she was rude to her husband, but I mean, I thought that was all taken care of.
And what a grudge holder.
I know.
It was 2 years ago. By the way, in that flashback, Yolanda looked beautiful and healthy and wonderful, which is so heartbreaking. And a flashback to 2 years ago when she was rude to your husband, and you're still pissed about it, and she's going through a hard time.
Well, she did claim at that lunch that she was like, well, we'll move past it, the bigger things, but I don't think she really is moving past much.
And I think because Yolanda's friendly with Brandi, she was the only one who was supportive of her, I feel like there's something there. That she's like, she can't be friendly with anyone on Team Brandi. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. What are you thinking, Megan?
I'm just over this before it begins.
I know. That's the thing. I want to keep the show going in a good direction. I don't want to get stuck on does she or doesn't she? And we saw in the season preview that they're naming some disease, and they're doing research, and
they mentioned Munchausen, which is where you make you or your child sick for attention.
Oh, is that what that is? See, I wasn't aware of that. Okay.
Yeah, it's a disgusting storyline because I think she is legitimately sick, and this isn't a Brooks situation where he's like pretending so people like him and have are nicer to him.
Yeah.
She doesn't need that. She's already a good person.
Well, Lisa Rinna had a good point. She said that she found Yolanda's actions of going to that party and showing up, and even showing up without any makeup as a defense, brave.
Yes.
I kind of, brave in a relative sense, brave in a Beverly Hills sense.
Correct.
Is that how you feel?
Yes.
That's the difference between the two Lisas. The one Lisa's like, oh, she couldn't put makeup on before she left the house, and the other Lisa's like, she's brave.
Yeah, a little bit of a different perspective. Yes. Then we'll talk a little bit briefly about Kyle's conversation with Mauricio regarding Kim and how she's choosing to put space between her and Kim, and she's just tired of getting emotionally distraught over it and trying to deal with it in her own way. I don't know. I don't have good advice for Kyle on how to handle it. I have not been in that situation in my life where you play the game of, do you get involved, do you help someone out who has problems, with addiction, and like she said, Kim's in rehab. That's the best place for her to be. But Kyle has always had a struggle with how involved she should be with Kim. I mean, at this point, do you think that distance is the best option?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're in agreement on this.
What more can you do? She's
Right.
in rehab. Yeah.
Well, I think Kim really needs time to sober up and accept. Kim never accepts reality, and she's always blaming stuff on Kyle. It's like she needs to get to a sober point where the mental comes back. Not just, she's not drunk all the time anymore, making excuses. It's like she needs to stop blaming things on Kyle that are never Kyle's fault.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, I will say, I want to know what Kyle's going to be doing for this full season. We did see her throw a lot of parties and do a lot of traveling, and she's already got a trip plan coming up. So, I'm just kind of curious what she's going to bring to the table this year, storyline-wise. I don't have a feeling.
I don't either. But I'd
don't
be
either.
happy if it was less Kyle and less Vanderpump, like I said.
Yeah, I want some fresh energy. So this new girl, we haven't seen her yet, but this Erica looks like a good time. I don't know what the taglines were, what they were. I thought interesting.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think?
I liked them all. I
Yeah.
thought they were great this
They
year.
were fitting.
Yeah.
I heard that they're written by the network or by the production company, so I don't think these women are like making them themselves, which kind of makes it a little less fun. Mm-hmm. I like to think that they're that witty, but it's. I mean,
Don't they give them like a
enjoyable.
couple options and then they say them and then they don't know what one's going to
I
be?
think that's the case.
Right?
Yeah. So, who knows?
I liked them this
Yeah.
year. I can't say that for all the years past.
Yeah,
I
I don't remember all of them yet. I'm sure by the end of when you see us in 30 weeks, we can recite them.
25 weeks together.
Yes.
I think my favorite was Lisa Vanderpump. So she was like, I love dogs, but I can't stand a bitch. Something like that. Hers was really good this year.
Yeah,
And
it was
Lisa's
good.
included lips again, which is good.
Yeah, I like the look of them and the red, and was it like a fuchsia gown? They mixed it up with like the rose-colored background and stuff. So it'll be good. All right, let's talk about some news and gossip. There's been some big news.
AfterBuzz TV News.
Oh my goodness. Well, as of just 2 days ago, Yolanda and David Foster have announced that they are divorcing, unfortunately, after 9 years together, and I believe 4 of those were married.
Correct. Yeah.
Unfortunately, they've announced that they're separating, and they named a number of factors. Obviously, her illness, blended families, the traveling, the careers, I think I'm going to have to go ahead and agree with one of our viewers who contacted me through Twitter today. We were talking, and she thinks, David just doesn't want a sick wife. This is his 4th wife, so 4th divorce. Like, that's not a man who wants to be married for the long haul.
Yeah.
She mentioned he wants to be, he wants like a trophy wife on his arm, and I have to agree with that.
I agree
It
too.
seems that way. I mean, I think that's the quickest thing to surmise in this situation. I don't know the truth, but it's weird. When I saw this, I didn't believe it, and I clicked the link, and then I always, if I don't believe something, I go to like Google News and I see if it's like common in Google News, if it's like someone's passed or whatever. I look that way to confirm it. And when I saw that People was like, it was a People exclusive, and then it showed up on TMZ. I didn't believe it, but I was surprised to see that.
I
It's just
was
like,
I was
Why?
surprised, but I wasn't shocked because, I don't know. She just always seemed so much more into him than he seemed into her. That's just the vibe I got.
I have to agree.
Oh, yeah, it's too bad.
I feel like maybe we'll start seeing it over this season because it looks like he's present in a lot of scenes that have to do with her medical care. So maybe we'll see the start of the breakdown of him really not wanting to be there, if that's how it went.
I know that she's been going through it since 2012 and he's been there, but I just feel like he should really see her through it.
Seriously.
I mean, some would argue, well, he's not obligated to, but he is her husband. I mean,
in sickness and health, yeah.
Right?
If she's the love of his life, you'd think they're married, they're each other's love, that he wants to be there for her and help her get through it and not be traveling and, he doesn't need the money. He doesn't need to keep doing what he's doing. They have enough. They're lucky enough to have enough that they could just focus on her health and getting better. I mean, I know it's probably draining and it's probably stressful and maybe he's not away all the time, but it just always felt, ever since we met them together, that she was always more invested.
Yeah, she really celebrated him in every way. Yeah, and they sold that large house that we've seen on the show, and that she commented on in this episode that it was just too large. So, a new beginning for Yolanda. So, we're probably not going to really know too much until the reunion comes around and where she stands now. But it'll be an interesting watch, nevertheless.
I'm shocked she's even back. Didn't we think last year that she could barely go to the reunion, that this was it?
Yeah, I thought she was just going to be like a friend this year.
I'm really surprised that she committed to doing it, because I thought that she barely could.
Exactly.
So, because it is a commitment. You got to go on the trips. You got to show up for all this stuff.
Do the interviews.
So we shall find out more. Yeah. Any other news?
That's all I have for this week.
Okay, great. Well,
big one.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to our predictions.
And now, your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
Well, we can predict the season, or we could just predict the next episode. I think there's so much to come. How can we really, truly make an accurate prediction at this point? But Kyle's going on a trip we got to watch. So she's off to a 1-week boat trip. Where is she going? Over
Tuscany?
Well, the south of France and then Tuscany. So not too bad, because Mauricio likes to travel. He likes to be
Mauricio loves luxury. So sue him.
I'm dying to hear.
Is that what she said?
I'm dying to hear what Christy has to say about this trip next week.
I can't wait. I feel like we're really missing the Christy element this week.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Well, because she always has an opinion about Kyle and Mauricio.
Yes.
So
Kyle is like just the way I am with Vanderpump. She's got Kyle's number.
Yeah, she
Not letting her off
does.
the hook with anything.
Yeah. So I love to see the Housewives trips. I love to see how they depict the countries, and we had a long conversation when we covered Manzo with Children, talking about how they depicted Italy, and so I like to see that. So we shall see what goes on with that. But I just predict a lot of nonsense between her and Lisa Vanderpump. Just a lot of fun, witty, back and forth. The light Housewives portion.
Yes. They have fun together, those two.
Yeah.
But I predict that Lisa Vanderpump and Eileen, because we saw it in the previews, that's where this prediction's coming from. I could see them going head to head.
I'm kind of excited for that.
I'm kind of excited for it too.
Yeah. I need a feud. I need a feud to sink my teeth into on this show. That's
and then the other
best.
feud looked like it was Lisa Rinna versus Yolanda, which Lisa Rinna's my favorite, and I don't want to hate her, but if she's going after Yolanda, this is going to tear my heart out.
Yeah, I thought they had a solid friendship, but I don't know.
Gosh, predictions. Eee! I don't know. My crystal ball is cloudy this week.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, the preview is 2 scenes, so there's not much to go off of. Yeah.
I mean, it looks like a very scary medical scene with Yolanda next week, but I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that she's going to have a really rough season. And
Well, I hope that we're in for a juicy season, and I hope that it is quite dramatic. And I hope we see some, we saw Taylor is going to come back, and of course, Camille. So, we'll see kind of what comes along the way, and we'll be here to give you a play-by-play recap. In the meantime, let us know your thoughts on this episode. Let us know if you agree or not. You can comment below, and you can tweet us. Where can we find you guys?
You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Fern Ronay, Ronay.
And you guys can find me, Megan Stecher, across all platforms, Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat. It's all at Megan Stecher, MEGANSTECHER.
And you guys can find me over on Twitter at Grants__rants. And you can find me on my podcast, Grants Rants Hollywood Talk, where I talk a little bit about the Housewives, pop culture, and more. Check it out. It's on iTunes. That'll do it for us. For the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, life's a pitch.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.